Most gamblers think slot machines are simple. You sit down, press a button, and hope luck lands on your side. But after 11 years inside a casino, I can tell you that what looks random on the surface is often carefully engineered beneath it. The lights, the sounds, the timing, the almost win feeling, the strange streaks that keep you seated a little longer than you planned, none of that is accidental. Casinos do not need to control every outcome to control the experience, and that is where the real secret begins. Have you ever felt like a machine was pulling you in on purpose? Comment yes or no before we continue. I am not speaking as an outsider repeating rumors from gambling forums or late-night conspiracy clips. I spent 11 years watching casino floors operate from the inside. I watched how players behaved, how machines were positioned, how staff talked about performance, and how the environment was adjusted to keep people engaged. The average gambler sees entertainment. The casino sees data, rhythm, attention, and spending behavior. Once you understand that difference, you stop looking at slot machines as games and start seeing them as systems. Most players believe slots are about luck in the purest sense. They believe a machine is either hot or cold. They believe a big win means momentum is building. They believe near misses are signs that something is about to happen. And above all, they believe the machine is reacting to their timing, their instinct, or their patience. Casinos rely on those beliefs because those beliefs keep people emotionally connected to the screen. But the reality is colder than that. A slot machine does not need to trick you with obvious lies. It only needs to present the truth in a way your brain misreads. The first secret is this. The result of a spin is usually decided far earlier than most players think. What you see on the screen is not a live battle between chance and fate unfolding in real time. In modern machines, the outcome is determined the instant the spin command is accepted. The reels spinning afterward are presentation. They are visual theater. They are there to make the result feel dramatic, suspenseful, and emotionally meaningful. This is why stopping the reels early changes nothing. Tapping harder changes nothing. Waiting for a better moment changes nothing. The outcome was already chosen before the symbols finished dancing across the screen. Once a player understands that, one of the biggest illusions on the casino floor disappears. The second secret is more psychological. Slot machines are designed to make losses feel softer than they really are. This happens in a few ways, and most people never notice all of them. One of the most powerful is the near miss. Two symbols line up, the third slides just above the pay line, and your brain reacts as if you came close to success. But mathematically, that spin was not close. It was simply a loss dressed to feel significant. Then there are low-value payouts that are celebrated like victories. You can wager more than you win back, and the machine will still flash, chime, and reward your senses with the language of success. In emotional terms, the machine tells you that something good just happened. In financial terms, you are still going backward. This is not entertainment designed by accident. This is conditioning. The third secret is that casinos study time on device more than most gamblers realize. People think the objective of a slot machine is simply to take money. That is too simplistic. The real objective is to hold attention. A player who stays seated longer becomes more predictable. They settle into a rhythm. Their decision-making slows down. Their emotional resistance weakens. They stop treating each spin as a separate expense and begin treating the session as a flow state. That is incredibly valuable to a casino. This is why machines are designed to reduce friction. The bill goes in fast, the credits stay digital, the losses do not feel physical. There is no repeated pain of handing over cash every few seconds. You are not spending in the old emotional way, you are converting money into a smoother, softer, more abstract experience. And once spending becomes abstract, people spend longer. The fourth secret is about environment. A slot machine does not operate alone. It operates as part of a carefully built sensory field. Sound matters. Lighting matters. Machine placement matters. Walkways matter. Visibility matters. High-energy machines are often used like beacons. Big wins are made visible and audible not just for the winner, but for everyone nearby. The casino floor is not a random arrangement of cabinets and chairs. It is a behavioral map. Areas are designed to attract movement, slow movement, or trap movement. Comfortable seating, close machine spacing, strategic aisle flow, and the controlled absence of natural time cues all serve the same purpose. The longer you remain mentally suspended inside that space, the easier it becomes to stop thinking clearly about duration, loss, and limits. The fifth secret is that many gamblers misunderstand volatility, and casinos benefit from that confusion. Some machines pay smaller amounts more frequently. Others pay less often, but create the dream of larger hits. To the average player, both can feel deceptively similar over short periods. A machine that pays often may feel friendly, even while draining the bankrolls steadily. A machine that pays rarely may feel cruel, but one sudden hit can create a false belief that patience was rewarded. The player begins telling themselves a story. This machine likes me, this one is due, this one is building. But slot design does not care about your story. It only cares about whether the experience keeps you engaged. Different machines are not just different games, they are different emotional profiles aimed at different kinds of players. The sixth secret is the one I was never supposed to say out loud. The most powerful force on the casino floor is not chance, it is self-deception. Casinos do not need every player to believe in one myth. They only need each player to believe in their own version of control. One person believes in timing. Another believes in machine location. Another believes in betting patterns. Another believes a jackpot is building because the machine has not paid in hours. These beliefs are powerful because they make losses feel temporary and wins feel meaningful. Once people believe they are participating in a hidden pattern, they become more willing to continue. And when continuation becomes emotional instead of rational, the system has already done its work. Which of these have you personally experienced? The near misses, the fake feeling wins, the way time disappears, or the strange belief that a machine is somehow ready? Type the number of the point that shocked you the most. This is where the subject becomes darker. People do not keep playing because they are irrational in some dramatic way. They keep playing because the system is built around human vulnerability. Intermittent rewards are among the strongest behavioral hooks ever studied. When the reward does not come every time, but comes just enough to keep hope alive, attention becomes more intense. The uncertainty itself becomes addictive. Add to that the illusion of agency, the sensory stimulation, the abstraction of money, and the emotional relief of small payouts, and you create a loop that feels personal, even though it is mechanical. That is why so many players say the same thing after losing far more than planned. They do not say, "I made a calculated financial decision." They say, "I got pulled in," because that is exactly what happened. What makes this even more effective is emotional timing. A person rarely makes their worst gambling decisions at the beginning of the session. It usually happens later, when fatigue sets in, when frustration mixes with hope, when one decent hit revives a dying bankroll, or when a long losing streak creates the urge to recover. The machine does not need to know your life story. It only needs to be perfectly built for moments when human beings become easiest to influence. This is not gambling in the romantic sense people imagine in movies. This is behavioral engineering wrapped in entertainment. And once players start chasing recovery, the psychology becomes even more dangerous. A loss no longer feels like a finished event. It feels like an unfinished conversation. People begin to think the next spin can repair the last one. Then the next 10 spins are justified by the same logic. The player is no longer sitting there for fun. They are sitting there to resolve tension. That is a very different mental state, and casinos understand it better than most people want to admit. Now let me be clear, none of this is a magic trick to beat the casino. There is no secret button, no perfect timing method, no hidden sequence that turns a slot machine into easy money.
Anyone selling that fantasy is feeding the same delusion from the opposite direction. The purpose of understanding this system is not to control the machine, it is to stop the machine from controlling you blindly. Awareness will not make you unbeatable, but it can make you harder to manipulate, and in a place designed around emotional momentum, that alone matters. The smartest players are not the ones chasing forbidden patterns. They are the ones who understand the architecture of temptation. They know that a near miss is not a message. They know that bright sounds after a small payout are not proof of success. They know that time loss is part of the system. They know that once emotion takes over, the game has already shifted in the casino's favor. Real control does not come from reading the machine. It comes from reading yourself before the machine does. Do you want part 2, where we expose the next layer of casino design, including floor strategy, player tracking logic, and how loyalty systems quietly change behavior? Comment "System" if you're ready for the next revelation. After 11 years inside that world, the truth I learned was simple. Casinos do not survive because players are foolish. They survive because the system is smarter than it looks. It does not need to force you. It only needs to shape your perception, soften your losses, stretch your time, and keep hope alive a little longer than logic should allow. That is how the machine really works. That is how the floor really works. And this is only the surface. The deeper system is even darker.